We're SlikRok Productions, and today we're going to do the anticipated portal review video.
Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like.
So, I've been really excited to put this video out. We've acquired a lot of information that I think needs to be out in the marketplace. We were really skeptical going into this because the first company that started building portals, they built a chain drive system. They didn't work very well. They broke. The company went out of business. You couldn't buy parts for them. So everything on the internet was bad. There were terrible reviews out there. And so when we were stepping into this, the cost alone of the portals is a pretty big step, but we knew we were going to have to upgrade a lot of parts on top of that. We knew we were going to have to upgrade some suspension components to get the cars to handle them so we weren't breaking stuff. We didn't know how far we were going to have to go with that. But I'm telling you, we couldn't be any happier with the results. So the reason I wanted to go with portals is because before when we'd go out on the trail and the kind of riding we do a lot of rock crawling. We were running, 31s, 32s, 33s. So we were getting quite a bit of rolling mass, so we were tearing parts up. We would put a lot of preload on our shocks to get as much clearance as we could. And then when we do that, we lose articulation because they have too much spring to them, too much preload. And so we're beating axles up, or we were literally taking extra cars with us to carry parts with us so we could go down and wheel like the way we wanted to wheel. And so with going with portals, you get a gear reduction system. They're a 30% gear reduction. So a RZR comes with a 29.5-inch tire. You have to run a 35-inch tire basically to be stock gear ratio. And so most of our cars were running 34s and 35s on, but you get a 4-inch lift out of them. You get 8 inches total in width, and with that width comes a lot more articulation. So we could run the preload out of our shocks to keep our shocks spongy, and because they're wider, they'll articulate better. So we got 4 or 5 inches more of articulation just from the width alone, plus we got the clearance, plus we got a better gear ratio, and honestly, this is no joke. We have not broke one stock Polaris axle in all the miles we've put on these cars. We've literally put portals on about 15 cars. I have 2 cars with over 2,000 miles. We have beat the hell out of these things, and we haven't broke a Polaris axle. And for those of you guys who go out and wheel, that is remarkable. The gearing in them is just right. It keeps the factory geometry with the suspension so the car performs properly without being so hard on your parts. That is really quite amazing. So let's talk about the actual money that needs to be spent here, the actual parts that you need to buy in order to run portals. Most of this stuff is strictly for safety. Ball joints, tie rod ends, those are things that no matter what, if you're running portals, you should replace. The factory parts are not meant to have 34s, 35s, or 37-inch tires. It's a lot of rolling mass and it's really heavy. So one of the things that makes portals so cool is they are heavy. And the fact that they're heavy, as your machine goes up, it also changes the center point and balance. So the weight is down lower. So when you're wheeling and you're articulating, it really stabilizes. But in order to run all that weight and to run all that rolling mass, you really have got to upgrade your ball joints. You have to upgrade your tie rod ends. We went with +2 A-arms to give us a little bit more clearance forward so we could run bigger tires. We went with heavy-duty SuperATV arms. Those are the ones we've had the best luck with so far. We've tried a few of them out. There's a lot of great companies out there, but bang for the buck, we think those are probably the best ones. The radius arms you probably need to replace. We've aired these cars out, and if you air out one of these things with portals and you have factory radius arms, you're going to fold them. So these things, you're going to spend a little bit of money when you buy portals, but it is well worth it. The quality of the portals themselves is absolutely phenomenal. They're machined very well, they're constructed very well. We've taken quite a few of these apart. We have found 0 flaws in these portals. These guys cut no corners when they were building these. So I really will tip my hat to SuperATV for that. They've done a fabulous job bringing this back into the marketplace. That being said, we've had a couple of them leak. So bear in mind, we've done about 20 sets of these in the last 3.5 months. And that's 4 portals per set. That's about 80 different portals that I've put on cars. And so having a couple of them leak doesn't really concern me that much. We called SuperATV, and before we got off the phone, they sent us new seals for them. It was a no questions asked, and more than likely it was probably my fault they leaked. We had a lot of late nights putting them together. I probably damaged a seal or two when we were slapping them together. We had obligations we had to meet. We had some trips out of town, and we had a lot of cars to get ready so we could go down and test these. So my overall experience with them is nothing but 5 stars. I mean, these guys did a phenomenal job, and I really highly recommend their parts. So last but not least, let's talk about the performance of these things. So I have been unbelievably impressed with how these machines have reacted with portals on them. the rock crawling it seriously has changed the views of the way me and my crew go wheeling. So we've been doing razors and building razors for a long time, and this has absolutely changed our world, and for the better. We have it's a whole new world of rock crawling. Things that we couldn't do before, we can do now. Ledges that were too big for us, things that were too steep, I mean, we've had zero problems with them. We went down to Moab and tackled every trail down there. We've spent a bunch of time down there in the last few months, and I'm sure you've seen some of our videos. We have a bunch more coming out with parts we're testing, but Pritchett Canyon is one of the tougher trails down there. These things walked over Pritchett. We had guys in buggies down there, full tube frame buggies on 40s plus, and they were laughing at us when we come in because you don't see that kind of stuff going on down there. These things are awesome. So once again, the articulation is phenomenal. And we haven't just done rock crawling. We've been in the sand with them. We've done a lot of mountain riding with them. We've burned them up and down the road. One of the things that you might think with going with such a low gear reduction is that you can't operate at normal speeds. These things really perform like a factory machine with 34 and 35 inch tires on them. The gear ratio is almost perfect. So these are governed at 72, 74, kind of depends. The machines vary a little bit. But most of our machines will hit 70. A couple of them are in the 68 range, so you might lose 2 or 3 miles per hour, but it's really not that big of a deal. We've used these things as daily drivers. We've taken them out to eat. We've done car shows with them. We've been in parades. We've pulled floats with them. We've rock crawled with them. We've canyon rode with them. We've duned them. We have really put these to the test, and I feel very confident in telling you that these are phenomenal parts and they are worth buying. If you want to get into this world, it is worth it. I have all the confidence in the world that the portals are awesome. They are what we say they are. And so you can check them out at SuperATV.com, but honestly, I'm tired of talking about it. Just check out these videos and it all speaks for itself.
Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like, yeah. Here comes the, no, here comes the, oh, here comes the, y'all don't really want it like, yeah. Here comes the, no, here comes the, oh, here comes the, y'all don't really want it like. When I'm coming, like, when I'm coming, like, when I'm coming for ya, it's gonna sound like, when I'm coming, like, when I'm coming, like, when I come for ya, it's gonna sound like.
After watching that, you can see why we're so partial to these portals. So the last thing is the installation process on them. They are a little bit complicated, but they're really not too bad. You can do them with your basic tools that you have. It takes a little bit of time. We put out a video, it's on our YouTube channel, an instructional video, a little step-by-step and some of the tricks we learned along the way. But if I missed anything through this or you have any questions, go ahead and hit us up on Facebook. We're happy to answer any questions you might have, and we'll catch you on the next video.
Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like.